Okay, I'll start from my side.
No, you have to give me permission. Do you see something coming up?
Not really, but if I make you a co-host, maybe you can. Do you want to try again?
Yeah, that should work. Yep, there we go. Let's record. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, you managed? Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So then I will go live, and what we can do is that it depends from the settings of your page, if I can share in your own wall or if you have to share it yourself. So some people allow me to go in my wall and just click share to a friend's timeline, and then I can share to yours. Or otherwise, if you have that closed, you just go to my profile. I'm going to go live now and you just share, which sometimes is easier.
Wait, you want me to do this right now?
If you feel like, if you want to have it live, you can do it now. If you don't want, you can do it after we finish, however you feel.
I've actually never done a live, but if I do live video.
No, you don't need to do live. I will go live and you go to my profile, you just share it to your wall. You don't need to do anything on Facebook. You just go to my, so if you go, I'm going live now, check my profile and then you will see the video popping up in 1 second or something. It's still preparing. Got it. Maybe I can do it, but sometimes I cannot. Okay, let me see. Maybe I can do it. No, it doesn't let me anymore. Can you see it in my page, in my personal profile?
Yes, I can.
Perfect.
So what I share?
You just share, yeah. Like
share,
simple.
Share to news feed.
Exactly.
Okay.
Beautiful. Once that's done, we are ready to go. Let me know when
are you in Athens?
No, I'm in Aflia, actually in the south, in Peloponnese. And you are in Amsterdam, right? Right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Indeed. I'm just putting that in the. Okay. Hopefully there's enough juice. Oh, it's okay. I've not done this before, so very good.
It's always good to learn something new, right? So thank you, Tres, for being with me today. It was a little bit of a last minute, but I am really glad that we made it before me going off grid. And first, let's start from where you started, actually. You're in Amsterdam, but you're not from there. Tell us a little bit that story. What brought you there?
Yeah, this is true. So I'm T.W. Hawk, for those who don't know. I'm an author of this book right here, How to Succeed on Purpose, and creative entrepreneur, and I've done a lot of diverse things in my career: speaking, teaching, advising startups, guiding meditation, producing meditation for a couple of different global apps. So, and I know you wanted to speak about spiritual entrepreneurship, so I probably fit somewhere in that context, which we'll get to. But ultimately, that's really what led me to the Netherlands and Amsterdam in particular, because I had just published my book, and well, let's see, rewind. So I grew up in New York, went to school in New York, and spent my career in Hollywood. I graduated on a Sunday. I moved out to Los Angeles the following Monday and started my unpaid internship and never looked back. So 2 decades later, after living in a gorgeous home in Malibu overlooking the water, I just felt called to, let's see, unravel greater truths, or, there was an itch that I couldn't quite scratch, something that I felt, was calling me to go deeper. It was like, this is fantastic, but is there also something more? And I had been sharing quite a bit during that period as a teacher for content creators and coining lots of phrases in the entertainment space, things like the new Hollywood and Mediaverse, and writing and publishing, and hosting a series called Hollywood Drive-In Talk, which was sharing these little 3-minute business precepts while I was driving my car from agency to studio to Beverly Hills meeting to pitch meeting or what have you. And when I look back at that time, what I realized over 50 plus episodes is it was really a precursor to How to Succeed on Purpose, because they were distillations of, like, yes, business wisdom, yes, kind of life principles, but they could be applied universally in all different fields and really to people's personal life. And that was the feedback that I got. So sharing it in the context of being a Hollywood entrepreneur, but really it was already the seeds, the groundwork was laid for what was to come. And that journey took me to Big Sur, California for 5.5 years, where I lived on a beautiful, like, 500-acre ranch overlooking the Pacific, lived in community, studied all kinds of spiritual practices, became a certified Tai Chi and Qigong practice leader, built a sweat lodge on the Esalen campus, studied 5 rhythms dancing, traveled all over the world, and through those travels revisited Europe, including the Netherlands, where I had also done a semester abroad in Maastricht, which is in the south. And so I always felt a connection to Europe, and specifically to the Netherlands. And so 5 years ago, no, maybe not, 4 years ago, I came back, and within a couple of days of visiting Amsterdam was like, yeah, I'm going to live here. And I just love the beauty of the city and the charm. It was a metropolitan village. In a strange way, it kind of had elements of Big Sur, which is like living in community and a center for consciousness and entrepreneurship and conscious entrepreneurship, circular economy, innovation, and it was just super multicultural and multinational. And so it just resonated with everything that I was continuing to search for after this, like, cocoon-like creative investigation and exploration in Big Sur. So I published my book. It was time to promote it and launch it and get it into bookstores and speak and teach and lead workshops and inspire others. And that's what drew me here. And that I've now been residing in Amsterdam for 2.5 years. And things were going extraordinarily well right up until, about 1.5 years ago when COVID hit, which of course transformed everything and caught everyone by surprise. But that is why I'm in Amsterdam. So it was all about kind of the coming out of the cocoon and being the butterfly, or in this case, the hummingbird, which graces my cover, and buzzing around and sharing, extracting the sweetness, the nectar from life, and sharing that and pollinating as many different flowers as possible.
Thank you for the journey. Tell me about another journey that doesn't seem so straightforward. How smooth or not was the transition from Hollywood entrepreneurship to conscious entrepreneurship for yourself, for your circle, for your spirit, for all levels, whatever you wish to explore, right? With this answer.
It was really an organic process. As I said, kind of the seeds were there. I'd always been into meditation. I'd always been into spirit, studying spirit. At one point, for about a decade, I worked very closely with the Chopra family. So Deepak Chopra's kids. So they were like the first family of the New Age movement. So it was something I was raised with and just always had an ease with speaking about and leaning into. And so that always imbued just my way of being, my way of doing business, working creatively. And as I said, I think we evolve in upward spirals, right? We all come with a certain theme or lesson or purpose in our lives. And what we find is we keep experiencing, the same kind of rhythms, patterns, lessons again and again. But aspirationally and hopefully we're experiencing them on a higher and higher level. So, it's not that we're spinning in a circle, but we're on this, kind of infinity, and it's you are here and here and here. You're somewhere in the infinite loop, but hopefully that's a vortex of upward spirals. So we're learning and growing and evolving the way that we meet the world through, our manner of being. I mean, we express how and who we are in every interaction, in the way that we handle our families, or the way we experience abundance or lack, our romantic lives, our, all aspects, all chakras. And so the yearning was organic, and the process can sometimes be dramatic. So it's an organic and yet dramatic process, because when you have these realizations and you kind of up level through your life, what happens is the things that aren't resonating anymore or vibrating at that frequency, they just start to crumble. They crumble and fall away. And that can be very painful. And that can also be surprising. I mean, it can be, relationships and friendships and business associations and all of these things that we had ascribed value that we work towards. And then through this kind of process, let's call it ascension, they crumble and fall. But something beautiful is always enters in its place. But you need to first create the vacuum for something else to fill it. And that process of sucking out or crumbling underneath you, riding that wave and being able to surf that wave that's part of the process too. So I've ridden quite a few waves and some tsunamis in my time. And I think that girds you all the better and prepares you all the more for what's to come, and really puts you in a state of gratitude and receptivity for, okay, this is not working anymore. What else is there? What else is to come? And I feel like that is cyclical in our lives. Things are working, it's great, everything's going amazing, and then it gets a little uncomfortable, and then maybe really uncomfortable, and then this doesn't work anymore. Now I'm in misery, and it forces us to move something, to move ourselves. And through that process.
The cycles, yeah. Right? Yeah, totally. Right now, or if there is nothing present right now, the most recent experience you can remember, what was experience that really challenged you to remain in your spiritual path, like to continue your non-conventional entrepreneurship?
Well, I wouldn't say there was any one particular event. For me, tends to be kind of the eye of the storm or the center of the chaos. So, and I'm also someone, if I knock on a door and find it closed or a wall goes up, I'm not like, I don't turn on my heel and walk away from it. I'll, if there's a wall, I'll go over it, around it, under it, through it, until I realize, okay, this wall, I'm not going to get through it, and I need to try something completely different. So that's really more the metaphor. I mean, in terms of actual events, yeah, just feeling the succession of either things transforming in my business and also in my personal life, where there's so many signs and signals that something isn't working, or in my experience, that it almost feels cosmic. Like, okay, all of these things happening in succession, I get it. There's a clear message here. And so being able to fully embody and be present for those experiences, painful as they may be, but without attaching to them. So realizing, okay, this is extraordinarily painful, but not identifying with it. Like with this betrayal, which again could be personal or business or romantic, or uh, something falling away from you, or not being acknowledged in some way, where it happens in a way that's so, I talk about in my book suffering, and that suffering actually has a beautiful purpose, because the purpose of suffering, can you guess what the purpose of suffering is?
Sometimes for me, it feels that suffering is almost like an alarm that you're either going on the wrong direction or that you need to pay attention to some specific traits of what you're doing. That there's something wrong there. It's just like, just pay a little bit more attention to this area. How do you feel about it?
Yeah. Well, what I've distilled it down to, which is really what the book is about, are all these compressions and complete distillations of personal experience and universal truth, modern wisdom, ancient wisdom. But suffering's purpose is its cessation. The whole purpose of suffering is so that we can figure out how to end it. So in a way, suffering is its own sacrificial lamb. The only reason it exists is so that it can declare itself to be ended.
Mm.
Now, the reason for that is, we can enter very easily, and I think many of us, the earth right now, we're in this, what I call a comfort zone of discomfort. So it's getting more and more uncomfortable, but unless things get really painful and dramatic, or we're in if you're in a personal state of suffering, emotionally, physically, you will do anything and everything. That is your number one priority, is to alleviate and end your suffering. If you are in pain, you want to solve that problem. So suffering, right, is the alarm bell. Like you said, you're going in the wrong direction, something's off. But if you are suffering, you don't want to endure that very long. You want to end it as quickly as possible. And in the figuring out how to bring relief to that and to end it, you're solving the problem. So it's this beautiful declaration. When things are just, like, how's it going, Aliki? It's good. Could be better. Not so bad. I really shouldn't complain. I should be grateful. I've got a job. I've got a boyfriend. I've got this. So if you're kind of uncomfortable, but you're in the comfort zone, you're not going to move. If you're really in a state of suffering, you are out of there. So it's really a gift, suffering, in this kind of cosmic way. If you can, again, step out, not be attached to it. Oh, I'm suffering, woe is me. You can throw yourself a brief pity party, but then it's like, moving on. How do I solve this? How do I move the energy? How do I transform this to something new so I can invite, joy and abundance into my life? Because that's our ground state, is to be joyful and abundant.
So do you use suffering in a way, like I'm just trying to imagine how would the world be if everybody was successful on purpose, like have passed through this path, this journey of actually finding what's their purpose and being successful in that. And I wonder if you have maybe a more clear image of how a world like that would be than me. And how can we move towards there? Like, is suffering a way? Is like, how could we move
Well,
there?
I'm not a proponent of suffering by any means. This book is not about, suffering. That's just one of the, I talk about healing, I talk about intuition. It's really about, and what purpose really is it's living from the heart. It's moving from a head space into a heart space. Uh, if you want to live a regretless life, then live a heartful existence. Because no one on their deathbed ever looked back and said, man, I just followed my heart too often, you know? And if there's ever conflict between, the brain and what you think you should do and what analytically it looks good on paper and what your gut is telling you, the gut, your heart, your intuition, your soul, that guidance should always overrule the head. So for me, a world where we're all living on purpose is a world where we're really heart-centered and we're moving from this much more, even physically centered place in our body. I talk about we're in this miraculous human form, and there is no way, despite, any argument to the contrary, that the miraculous human body, which is self-maintaining and self-healing and elastic and all these things, is just a transportation system for your brain.
A little bit too complex,
it's not
right?
like we're just going to move this brain around real efficiently. Like, no. Like, there's intelligence in every cell of our body. As you know, water is incredibly powerful. Water itself has memory. It responds. We are, 75, 80, 85% water. So the cells of our body have memory, have intelligence. When people say, well, how do you follow your intuition? How do you do that? I can't experience that following my gut thing. Well, I think universally, have we ever made a decision or gone out with the person or taken a job or some kind of made a deal or bought something where on paper it looked good, we look for support from our friends or advisors, they're like, Aliki, this is everything you ever wanted. This is the dream scenario, the dream place, the dream guy, the dream job, the dream. And then you do it. And then 3 months later, 6 months later, it goes pear-shaped and you're like, shit, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it wasn't going to work out. So what is that part of ourselves that didn't, that knew it, that knowing? And my belief, my knowing is that we can cultivate that, and we have that inner voice. And so call it the heart, call it intuition, call it divine, your divine hookup, your connection with source, spirit, your soul, whatever that is that you want to name, that can guide us. And it never guides us incorrectly. It always guides us to our path of least resistance, as my dad would say, and even when we run into, bumps in the road, here's another cornerstone of my philosophy I was thinking about, because it's very easy to say like, oh, I'm succeeding on purpose and I'm a spiritual entrepreneur and everything is always amazing. I'm just floating through life. On social media, I've got it all. I've got the hookup. I experience, my process is I inhabit, experience, and embody emotionally all the bumps and the thrills and chills and the emotional roller coaster of life. But I try very quickly to have the emotion, experience it, and then step out of it and examine, like, I got really angry there. What does anger mean? Well, it means a threshold or a boundary's been crossed. What boundary of mine has been crossed? Why do I feel, that's important to me? And then distill that into some kind of way to come to that situation or that person, communicating it with benevolence, compassion, and some distance, and acknowledging I'm a human being. I have emotions, there's no emotion that's good or bad. It just is. And we are the totality of our being and experience. And so live it, inhabit it, be it fully. That's the spiritual path, but just don't attach to it, because this too shall end, all of it, and none of us are getting out alive. So enjoy it while it lasts.
Absolutely. And thank you for guiding like the conversation towards a question that it always brings different answers, and that is of how much, if you have you been in touch of the forces of the four elements in your own life and in your own work? And with the four elements, I mean the earth, the air, the water, and the fire, the four natural elements, the one we can observe in nature around us. You did refer to two of them, like from my eyes, water very clearly, and the struggle, which is the fire, is a transformation. And I'm wondering if you identify to any of the four or to more than one, and how does that approach like sound to you if you haven't until now thought about it?
Well, I think there are infinite paths to the divine, as there are infinite, beings. And right now there's 7.5 billion ways, to God or to divine experience. So the natural elements are, and any kind of paradigm around that is certainly legitimate and a pathway to experiencing our own divine nature. And I think essential to that is our experience of the earth and the natural world, because all of these elements are really of the earth, and the earth is, and our experience here, I mean, it is divine. That's, to go to Christ, that's what he's talking about. It's like, it's heaven on earth. Like, this is it, people, pay attention. Like, it's not, this is the divine experience. Like, wake up, really. I mean, the Buddha, wake up, everyone's asleep. So what I find with the elements, and they are very present and I experience them. And when I'm disconnected from them, like in a city, I just moved to a place with a garden, and to be able to experience plants and listen to the wind through the trees and put my hands in the earth and connect with the green. And there's also a fireplace, to be able to watch the fire, which itself is, it's like a fluid that's flowing upwards. I mean, it's hypnotic to submerge in a bath, to sit by a river, to watch the ocean, like the sounds of nature, of the elements, the way the elements appear visually. I mean, the five senses, the feast that is there from the elements and our experience of that, I mean, that's really all we need to connect us to our true nature, or to, our sense of divine nature, to source, spirit. And I think the biggest, our biggest prevarication is separation. So the biggest lie we tell each other is like that we're separate from each other, or that we're separate from the earth. I mean, we literally are the earth. Like
There's
every
not the
cell in
way.
our being. I mean, just think of that, just that thought alone. Like, you're not on the earth, you are the earth. Every cell of your body was made from earth. All the elements of earth will return to the earth. And where we are with our planet right now, I mean, to throw another metaphor, I love metaphors, but it really occurred to me, like, the earth is our mother, right? And she loves us like your mother loves you. But if you are rude to your mother, if you do not treat your mother with respect, what is she going to do? What does your mother do if you're rude or you disrespect your mother?
Mine actually will be very strict and I cut it off straight away.
That's what I'm saying. So, the earth right now is basically slapping our asses and sitting us down in a chair and saying, like, you're not going out into the world if you're rude to your mother. You're not,
Yeah.
and this is what we're doing is we're disrespecting our mother, like the source. Every breath we take, every meal we have, every sip of anything we drink is all from the mother earth. And when do we ever, I mean, I try with every meal, I always, thank you, for these blessings, mother earth. Like, how often do we acknowledge the earth as the source of everything that we consume? I
Absolutely.
mean, we are the earth, just like you are of your mother. And, we shouldn't be disrespecting our mother. So to bring it back to the elements, it is elemental, it's literally essential, the essence of our being. We are the elements, and being in communion with the elements and attuned to the elements and in harmony with the elements teaches us everything we need to know, really, if we're paying attention.
Thank you for this beautiful image that was created from your words into my mind's eye. I know that I have been told by you, and I also can understand that you really love to work with words, right? But would you consider that that's your bigger gift, or would you consider that there is something else that you're bringing to the world that is your true unique gift?
I'm definitely a wordsmith. Writing is so we have primary forms, I think, as artists and creative beings, co-creative beings. And mine is writing. So even working as a filmmaker, as a director, as a marketer, as an entrepreneur, it's all about communication, and it's using the tools of a writer. It's like at the base of everything is writing and language and playing with words. And I have a huge appreciation for also the English, I mean, language in general. I love hearing different languages as a portal to culture. But for me, if one really develops one's vocabulary, and especially in English, which, I mean, said there are about 1 million words in the English language, you really can express precisely what it is you mean to say. And that to me is really important. And painting pictures with words and using words. I mean, I was just reading Stephen King's book on writing, and this is in my book too. I talk about words. When we spell, words are spells. Words are, and they need to be spoken as well. It's like a magician. If you're not casting spells, right? You're spelling, you're casting spells with your words, you're manifesting. You are transmitting vibrational communication, symbology. And so much of what, at least my approach is, it's the words are important, but it's the vibratory expression of those words, whether they're on the page or in voice, or they've been used to create, form, conjure, or collaborate on a moving image, for example. It's still, it's a writing, it's storytelling. I mean, there's a reason Christ spoke in parables. It's stories are what connect us, these amazing myths that resonate. I mean, the movie business is, the United States' biggest export globally. And there's a reason for that, because storytelling it's the thread and fabric of our beingness as human beings.
Thank you for that. I can
So
totally
yes,
see
I'm
that.
a writer.
Can totally see that on you. And our last question, as we're going slowly towards the closing of this interview, and I hope that we will have continuation, but for now I just want to honor the time. The last question that is always a little bit more tricky for all of us spiritual entrepreneurs, because we are very, very used in giving. We are very used in offering. We're very used in being in service of the world. And very few times we allow ourselves actually to express what do we need ourselves to grow further, to thrive. What do we need in this specific moment? It doesn't mean that it's something that we will need for the rest of our lives or that we will have been needing for the previous life. It's like in this moment, if somebody hears you and connects with you, and they feel that they want to support you in what you're doing, what is the kind of support that you will need right now to go further?
I guess the word that comes to me is engagement. That's really what I'm thinking. It's like right now and thank you for the opportunity to have this interview and just express with you, because I'm boiling over with things to share. And at this point, you know what I'd love? I'd love someone to organize more opportunities for me to share. That's what I would like, because I really need, my work is for an audience and for others. It's really for giving and sharing. And to have the platform to be able to do that, that's the essential part that I've really been starved of during this last year of COVID. It's like without the ability to interact and to engage and to light people up and to share inspiration, you know, you have a pitcher of water that has nothing to pour into, but it's still, you know, overflowing. And so that's what I'd like, is more opportunities to share what I have to offer and to share the inspiration. And, you know, the give and take, this is essential. Like people, there's a lot of this, like you just don't want to touch on this because it comes up a lot in these communities about, you know, giving, giving, giving. Someone was putting together, I just want a community of givers. It doesn't work that way. I've taught and spoken a lot on abundance. It's like you need the giver and the receiver, right? And in the same way I need to give, I need to be received. And I also, it's like you, to give a compliment, you need to be able to receive a compliment. You know, it works both ways. You know, one hand washes the other. It's a flow in and out. And so the reciprocity is really important. And so when we give as entrepreneurs, if we're in the spiritual, you know, entrepreneurship community, just know you also must be open to receive. It can't just all flow one way. And that's not a selfish thing to receive. It's essential, actually, to complete the circuit and the cycle and to keep it flowing.
Absolutely.
So
That's why I'm introducing it
these,
in the end, because it's something that sometimes has been left outside, and I feel it's really important to support our system so we can actually serve more. So when we are nourished, we can serve more. And thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, we'll have to close this part, and then we will go to the next part we talked before.
that's great.
Hopefully, we will have more opportunities for sharing, and let's see if something can manifest on that direction. We can talk more about that
I would love it.
offline.
Thank you for asking great questions.
And if you would like, I just want to give some space if you want to express anything else for closing. If something is coming up, something needs to be expressed still, and then we'll slowly end the live from Facebook.
Yeah, I guess I'll leave. So I distill, I have these truth serums at the end of each chapter. So the chapters are only a page or two, and then I distill them in these little memorable quotes. But I have hundreds and hundreds of what I call truth serums. And they're all kind of poetic and playful. And this speaks to purpose, which is really about our why. You know, I ask a question at the beginning of my seminars sometimes, like, you know, who are you? Like, tell the person next to you, who are you? And then we do that exercise, and then I say, now tell them, why are you? Why are you? And it goes to a much deeper place and gets to that place of purpose, because it's like, why am I here? Why am I here? And this is an evolving thing through our lives, but if you can read this, it's when we know our why, the universe says, why not?
I like that a lot. Because it
So
is
when
right
you know
like that.
if you can figure out your why, even in this moment, this week, for today, this month, it doesn't have to be a whole lifelong why, because it evolves. But when you know your why, the universe says, why not? And the universe is a show off. It wants to be generous. It wants to surprise you, so ask, why, this is my why. And then it'll say, why not?
I love it. Thank you so much, Truth. Thank you for today. Stay in our
My
call. I will
pleasure.
just close the Facebook Live and we'll continue like that. I really
Okay.
enjoyed that time.
Me too. Namaste, everyone.
So I just closed the live and I will stop the recording and start it again.